Okay, so I understand that this topic has been done to death, but I still feel like there's something to discuss here. I, and others, have noticed trends among people who believe gaming isn't fun anymore. A lot of them yearn for a simpler time where they didn't know any better, and try to reignite that sense of childlike wonder they used to get while gaming, only to feel bored or stare at their game library. Even more of them say that modern gaming just sucks. It's bloated with microtransactions, buggy releases, and live service games that feel half-baked. I don't think these people are inherently wrong. Admittedly, I feel some of their points could be better explored, but after watching some of their videos and listening to their perspectives, I have a better understanding of how gaming can be tiresome, and I should know from my personal burnout. I've been gaming for, no exaggeration, as long as I can remember. One of my first memories was playing Thomas the Tank Engine point-and-click adventure games on a Windows 7 PC. RIP Brit Allcroft. I hold fond memories of playing Mario Bros. And Mario Kart on my cousin's Wii consoles. And of course I went through the obligatory childhood Minecraft phase. In late childhood, I properly got into Nintendo, specifically Mario, and my Nintendo Switch was the first triple-digit purchase I ever made. Gaming, in one way or another, has shaped my life, which made the burnout hit even harder. During 2022, I noticed that I just wasn't in the mood for gaming. I had a lot to play, and I wanted to get through my games, but I just didn't. I was worried that this hobby that I've indulged in for over a decade at that point just wasn't hitting the same. As schoolwork built up, I was too tired to do anything and just endlessly scrolled through social media. This was my life for, essentially, the next year and a half, and it sucked. It was a monotonous cycle of boredom and guilt. Boredom for the games that I thought I enjoyed, and guilt over wasting my time. I started to go through what other people were experiencing, and I hated it. I initially adopted everyone else's mentality. I just didn't like games anymore. Games suck now, and gaming was better when I was a kid. I decided to discuss this issue with those around me, and they shared a similar experience with me, especially when they started to become busy. It was at this point where I started to learn and develop strategies to overcome the burnout. It should go without saying that, since everyone's situation is unique, not all of these strategies will work for every single person. Play around with different practices to see what works. This list is the culmination of both my own practices that have helped me and some of my friends' advice. 1. Embrace the burnout. You're tired, and there's no two ways about it. Be aware that you are tired. If you need time away from games, take the time. Especially if you've been playing the same ones over and over. Your games aren't going away, so come back when you feel refreshed and ready. 2. Get into other hobbies. There's nothing wrong with gaming being your primary hobby, but extending yourself outside of games can spice up life so much more. You could do something as simple as finding a good movie or show to watch, or maybe get off screens for more variety. Maybe take up an instrument or go out and explore a new place. Disconnecting from games briefly is one thing, but connecting with other areas of interest keeps you stimulated. 3. Talk to a therapist. They're very likely to have words of affirmation and great advice. If you don't have someone to talk to about your predicament, a therapist can offer you that someone. Obviously, only do this if you're in the financial position to do so. 4. Say it with me now. Try to play different types of games instead of the same ones for 10 years. I really don't need to explain this one, but I have a lot more to say about it later. 5. Play some games you haven't touched in years. If you miss the childhood wonder of playing games, then try playing games from your childhood. Bonus points if you finish one you could never beat. I'll elaborate on this point later as well. 6. Play with some friends. As an introvert, I typically draw towards single-player games, and I don't need to play with friends. But some people need that social aspect, so give it a whirl. Try playing what's popular, if you dare. So, what are my results after trying these strategies? First things first, my break. I just didn't play many games for a long time. I took a well-needed rest, and I even started going through my Netflix watch list. Now I have a habit of watching movies right before they're taken off. The Blade Runner movies were cool, and I finally found time to watch the Harry Potter movies. I'm currently watching Cowboy Bebop, and this show is gas. Go watch it. I adore Spy X Family, and I need to watch Season 2 ASAP. I also picked up drawing again. I used to draw all the time as a kid, and while my interests and focuses kept changing over time, I always had a creative itch. Reigniting my passion for drawing has helped me discover a therapeutic method of disconnecting from the worries and stresses of life. I even made a whole playlist of art tutorials. Hopefully, once I'm confident enough in my own abilities, I'll be able to make my own profile pictures and banners. This might only interest the 260-year-olds watching, but I'm reading 1984 and I'm so invested. I hope I'll have time to read more books. Now, after revisiting some hobbies, I felt a strong desire to invest into gaming again. Before discussing my progress, I feel properly explaining my personal favorite genres and games prior to my burnout will best establish the groundwork for my progress. 2D and 3D platformers are my bread and butter. I am willing to play damn near any kind of Mario game. I wouldn't say I'm a shooter fan. It's not like I would play anything with a gun in it just because it has a gun, but games with shooting elements are fun to play. Half-Life is goated, Team Fortress 2 is my favorite game of all time, and I've played Battlefront 2's campaign more times than Microsoft has shut down studios. I'm not a puzzle game fanatic, but Tetris and Portal are fun time killers. I have fond memories of playing The Force Unleashed 2 despite how bad it was compared to the original. I only managed to buy the first game years later on Steam. Mascot horrors are a guilty pleasure. As bad as the later games are, I still have a place in my heart for the original FNAF games. With these favorites in mind, how did I overcome my burnout? I finally found time to beat Enter the Gungeon. I was playing it for a bit, then stopped for a couple of weeks. I came back to it when I had a save in the 5th chamber, and I beat the final boss without even trying. What can I say, I'm built different. I'll absolutely come back to 100% the game, but for now we gotta move on. I also stopped playing Fortnite, and that decision made me feel like Kratos. It was the only game I could consistently play with a friend, but after we both started feeling like crap while playing, we stopped. Fortnite is the video game equivalent of TikTok with how overstimulating it can be. I'll come back to it eventually, but eventually is still a long way away. I found time to play Resident Evil 4, and it's now one of my favorite games of all time. The characters are just perfectly written, and inventory management is woven into the gunplay so well. Devil May Cry has enough testosterone pumped into it to kill an elephant. This bloody, over-the-top hack and slash is perfect for my short attention span. Metroid Dread was the first Metroidvania I've beaten, and not only am I in love with the Metroid franchise now, but I'm motivated to pick up Hollow Knight again and actually beat the game. I made a start on the Star Wars Kyle Katarn saga, but I've only managed to finish Dark Forces 1 so far. I got into Mario games again after beating the masterpiece that is Mario Wonder. Currently, Mario RPG is blowing my expectations out of the water. Bloons TD6 is relaxing. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 makes me feel like I'm on ketamine, and it helped me get back into Smash Bros. I properly got into the Sonic series last year, and I've 100% completed Shadow Generations in 2 weeks. I'm currently going through the adventure games, and despite their flaws, I'm loving them. As you could probably tell, my strategies were unbelievably effective for me. This journey has proven to me that I still love gaming with all my heart. I not only engaged with so many activities outside of gaming, but I branched out towards games that either put a spin on my favorite genres, or would never have considered playing otherwise. You may have already heard that notion from Strixo, but I'm regurgitating it here because
all of this just works.
I like the fast-paced gunplay of TF2 where strategy is crucial, but on the other side of the coin, Resident Evil 4 is a slow-paced shooter with an extra emphasis on the strategy. Both of these games feel like you're playing chess, coordinating and preparing your every move while you try to predict what your enemy will do, just in completely different ways. DMC is a high-octane game that rewards you for your knowledge of the game and planning your upgrades. All three of these games have strategy and gunplay in some way, shape or form. Now I've broadened my horizons and have a better understanding of the games I enjoy. I've made this much progress and I haven't even managed to properly dive into the treasure trove of indie games. I love them, but there's so many, it's daunting. While branching out has been great, I've also pruned some leaves. I'll come back to Fortnite, like I've said before, but for now that ship has sailed. That game started to feel like a second job, and I'm sure many of you who play COD, Valorant, or any other live service multiplayer game have felt this way before. Speaking of live service, modern gaming. Does it suck? Well, its problems do, but its positives also rule. Yes, unfinished, buggy messes that have a bloated amount of microtransactions suck. But god-tier remakes that enhance the original experience, even though they are becoming a bit oversaturated. Indie games that are just oozing with style and single-player games in general will always be great. If you're one of those people who say that modern gaming sucks and continue to buy COD every year, then yeah, it must suck. For you. If you think older games are better, then go play them. If you still want new experiences, then avoid these games and look for innovative experiences. Buggy games with countless microtransactions and overpriced re-releases are tiresome and problematic. But these problems, on top of your personal problems with motivation to play games, aren't going to go away until you make a change. I don't think it's any coincidence that Minecraft is used in the thumbnails of these gaming isn't fun anymore videos so much. Minecraft is a game where you can do anything you want, but how many of you actually do that? How many of you do anything outside of grinding for netherite, enslaving villagers, and beating the Ender Dragon in a week? How many of you have actually gotten around to making your dream build, or hell, how many of you have even stuck with a world and made something beautiful out of it instead of just starting another one just to speedrun through it and get bored immediately? Bonus 7th tip, play your favorite games in a completely different way. I maintained my investment in TF2 for the longest time by trying out MVM and achievement hunting. Screw around, give yourself a whole new perspective on the games you love. The appeal of games is that they're interactive experiences, so make your experience personal and valuable. You have to stretch your legs out every once in a while and do something different. Just remember, all the progress I've made started with a change I made for myself. What change will you make? Thanks for watching.